All right, guys, Wes here. Welcome back to the channel. And after years of waiting, I finally got to play Starfield. And now since the review embargo is up, I'd like to talk to you guys about my experience. As a huge fan of Bethesda's previous work with Elder Scrolls and the Fallout series, the thought of them making a brand new IP seemed unlikely. Well, after 100 plus hours logged in Starfield, I can say without a doubt that this game is the real deal. After a year-long delay for QA testing with the extensive support of Team Xbox, Starfield is the most polished Bethesda game I have ever played. In the 100 hours logged, I've experienced 3 to 4 bugs that I'll be showing you guys later on in the video, which that might seem like a foreign concept, especially since this is a Bethesda game we're talking about, but the extra time really does show. Now, for review purposes, I was playing Starfield on the PC via Steam. The performance was solid, and you don't see any of the jittery issues like in the direct or the trailers. Overall, the experience is smooth though. However, in some areas like Aquila City, I did have some noticeable frame drops, but those might be due to using GPU encoded capture software. The release of the Day Zero patch improved those drops and overall stability of Aquila, but I'll leave all of the performance stuff to Digital Foundry. I recommend checking out their videos as they will have some extensive testing for the performance. But now that we got some of the slight issues out of the way, I'd like to just gush about Starfield for a bit. The scale of Starfield is just like it's marketed. When Todd said it's irresponsibly large, he was spot on. Even with 100 hours in the game, I am still nowhere near completing it. I beat the main quest line, which was one of my favorite main quest lines in Bethesda's history, but the part that really shined the most for me was the faction quests. If you decide to play Starfield and just do the main story, you're going to be missing out on some of the best side content I've experienced in all of gaming. For example, I spent 20 hours just at Neon City doing side quests. It genuinely felt like I wasn't even playing Starfield at one point. It felt like an entire Cyberpunk game just on one planet. I still have a ton of side quests and in-game activities to do, like ship customization and outpost building, which cost quite a bit of credits, but those are totally optional. Unlike Fallout 4, where they kind of throw it in your face with the settlements, another outpost will not need your help because that is all entirely optional. It's just another aspect that they throw at you if you choose to do so. But just be sure not to use all of your skill points early on, because there are a few skills you'll want if you plan on building your own base. I believe that there's some quests that will have you build outposts on various planets, but no part of the main quest that I get forced to do it. As for shipbuilding goes, this is an aspect where the game truly shines. You're able to essentially make any ship you want, but your only limitations are 1, if you have enough credits to buy them, and 2, if the build passes the flight checks, you can build it. This aspect, as well as the controls on PC, are a bit hard to understand, but it works relatively well on controller. Various parts will snap to each other if they're meant to, and it's got deep customization. The color palettes you can choose from are insane, but you probably won't be doing shipbuilding and outpost stuff until the very end of the game. After 100 hours, I still don't have a fully upgraded and customized ship or outpost. Moving along to the story and characters, this game is really all about choice. You can start a quest and choose to complete it in your own way. For example, you can go in guns blazing in situations, or you can take things with stealth, and so much more. Stuff that I can't really mention, but you guys will find that out in due time. Now, an example of player choice to situations in Starfield, let's say you are tasked with killing somebody to retrieve an item for another character you just talked to. So you go find that person you're supposed to kill, and instead of killing them, you decide to play a persuasion game where you attempt to convince them to just give you the item and tell them to get lost. Well, if you win the persuasion, you'll do just that, but if you lose the persuasion, you could choose to attack them, pay them credits for the item, or do a favor for them. Well, in my instance, I won the persuasion game. They gave me the item, but instead of just letting them walk away, I shot him in the head, and as soon as I did that, my companion Barrett got extremely mad at me. We both ran back to the ship, and he was telling me off the entire time until I was able to talk to him. Once I spoke with him, he got really angry at me, saying things like, "I didn't think you were this type of person. Maybe I was wrong about you." And after that, there was a dialogue option that allowed me to persuade him to not be angry anymore. I successfully persuaded him, and he was no longer upset at me. The amount of customization and player builds you can create are going to be insane to see. For my first character, I went with a bounty hunter background that granted me piloting, targeting control system, and boost pack training, which honestly, the boost pack is extremely helpful for traversal, so I would try to get that early on. Now, for my traits, I chose hero worshipped. Yes, the adoring fan is as annoying as you think he is. And then I selected wanted and neon street rat. It's definitely not the greatest starting build, but I had to try out wanted and adoring fan. My next character will be a fully stealth build with a certain other thing that I won't mention, but I can't wait to dive into it. One other cool feature that was totally unexpected was New Game Plus launching with the game. Not many games will even support NG Plus after launch, and the fact that it was at launch just shows you the amount of time that the developers were given. Starfield's constellation companions are also super memorable, each with a ton of dialogue options. They could be your extended inventory, they could be your helper. Vosco is insane. I love Vosco. They have romance options. You can flirt with different companions. And unfortunately, just like IRL, my Riz does not extend to the settled systems. Now, in terms of NPC and companion AI, they are pretty helpful, but this is where I encountered my first bug of the game. Sarah Morgan was my companion at the time, and she was helping me take down some enemies, but she started bugging out quite a bit. It was a super random occurrence, and I haven't had this issue happen again, so that definitely bodes well. NPCs are okay design-wise. Every NPC kind of felt like they fit the setting, but they weren't too impressive in terms of reactions and scheduling. You'll come across some NPCs with basic dialogue and others that are extended, and you pretty much know if a character can be interacted with heavily. Speaking of dialogue, dialogue, I love the dialogue cameras. The game will swap to different characters when they start speaking, which creates a super immersive experience, so massive props to the team for that one. I did have one issue with the dialogue not starting. This might be due to not completing a previous quest objective, but there's a quest where I have to listen to an introduction from a character at the Red Mile, and the introduction dialogue isn't starting. Like, I walk up to the character and click speak and they do nothing. Like I said though, this might be an issue with the quest or I forgot to do something. So I can't definitively mark it as a bug. I'll just chalk it up to a skill issue and mad cause bad. Next up, I'd like to talk about in-system exploration, planet exploration, resource collecting, surveying, and the works. This is an aspect of the game that I was super excited about. When it comes to in-system exploration, I haven't really tested the ability to go from one planet to another in a system. If it's possible, it would take a really long time, but it's super quick to go from one planet to another with the grav drive. When you're in the orbit of a planet and there's a bunch of rocks around, I recommend to start destroying those rocks with your weapon system, as you're going to get some solid resources that allows you to stack them up pretty quickly. I found a bunch of rocks that had iron on them, and I just started exploding every single rock, or rather asteroid, in the way. Asteroid mining is really fun, and I recommend doing it, as you'll stack up resources pretty quickly. Now, as for planet exploration, this is the procedural stuff that isn't super crazy good. Visually, it looks fine, but I still prefer the handcrafted content. But with this being the procedural sandbox content, I still think it's pretty fun. On most planets you land on, there's going to be points of interest you could find, like mining outposts and other settlements. There's different caves you can go into. Some of the caves are like super deep. Now, to address the concerns of the planet tile situation that's been in the news lately, yes, there are boundaries on planets, but in a game with over 1,000 planets, a 10 to 20 minute walk from end to end on one planet is still pretty massive whenever you consider all of the rest of the planets you have to explore. I personally don't really get the concern. I've been playing the game and it's never really been an issue that I've come across. Like, you have to walk out pretty far to hit the boundary. Now, sure, the overall terrain looks similar no matter where you look, but that's really not shocking. The modding potential of planets is what I'm most excited about, but either way, it's still fun to explore. Now, as for resource collecting and surveying, some planets will have only a few resource types, so you'll be likely building outposts as well as cargo links to mine resources at scale. Now, if you're a completionist or you just like the vibe with exploration on planets, surveying it is fairly easy. My most important tip to surviving on an unknown planet is to not feel like you're stuck on the planet. Grabbing the resources that you need and then fast traveling back to your ship is a regular occurrence. Starfield is a massive game, so you're going to be doing a lot of exploring on many different planets. Higher level planets will have resources like silver or uranium, but they're in extreme environments. So if you want to set up outposts on planets like that, you'll need to have the outpost engineering skill unlocked and upgraded. One rare issue that I had with planet exploration was the initial performance during a landing sequence. It only happened to me once, and it was likely due to the fact that I was recording for like 6 hours, but after I restarted my game, it didn't happen again. As you can see though, there are some pretty bad frame drops, likely caused by my rig or my recording software. Next up, let's talk about gameplay and animations. The gameplay of Starfield, like every other Bethesda game, is addictive. The amount of loot that you can find is insane. When you're in a building or on a starship or just a random location, you can pull up your scanner and it will highlight all of the lootable objects in your direction. The amount of attention to detail that the developers put in this game is crazy. So definitely grab all of the essentials like ammo, cred sticks, digipicks, health and trauma kits, you know, stuff like fire extinguishers, lamps, mugs, sandwiches, all of the sandwiches. Now, if you decide you're wanting to steal something, make sure you do so discreetly, as you will be punished for it if you are detected. The animations and sound effects are all super crisp. The buttons, the switches, the knobs all sound super satisfying to listen to. The combat in Starfield is incredibly addicting. It really doesn't feel like you're playing on a creation engine game. It almost feels like a mix between Cyberpunk with a bit of Fallout DNA there. Enemies aren't super spongy, they're satisfying to kill, but watch out for Ashta because they will kill you pretty easily. Throughout your time on Starfield, you will come across some super unique missions. There's a mission that has a puzzle in the game, which is unexpectedly difficult. It's on the same level as like a COD zombie Easter egg. Now, one mission closer to the end of the main quest is so crazy that you will question whether or not you're playing a Bethesda game still. Now, I wasn't able to test how many different story endings there are for the game or stuff like that, but there are some tough choices you'll make throughout the story. Some you don't even realize you made until after the fact. I can't wait to start another playthrough and just pick different options to see if I have a different outcome. Starfield is a game that makes you question your own reality and existence by sending you on an epic adventure to answer humanity's biggest question: what really is out there? This video game is the result of a passionate development team that set out to build the ultimate sci-fi epic. So to answer the question, did Bethesda pull off Starfield and redeem themselves as one of the best RPG developers in the world? The answer is yes. Starfield not only nails the landing, but they absolutely crushed expectations. If you don't already have it preloaded, I strongly recommend this game. If you have Game Pass, it's a super easy download. If you want to play it tomorrow, upgrade to the premium edition and play Starfield as soon as possible. Well guys, that's gonna wrap it up with this video. If you enjoyed my coverage and review of Starfield, do me a favor and leave a like and subscribe to the channel with your notifications turned on. And until next time guys, this has been Wes, and I'll talk to you guys next time amongst the stars.